I told him real men make more money. Now he's gone and I can't pay rent alone. I need to tell someone what I did, and you're going to think I'm terrible. But there's something about watching your boyfriend struggle that nobody talks about. How it makes you feel. How it changes the way you look at him when he's sleeping next to you, mouth open, completely unaware that you've started measuring his worth in dollar signs. Everyone's calling me shallow now, calling me a gold digger, but they don't know the real reason I said what I said. They don't know about the thing I found 3 weeks before I told Marcus that real men make more money. And honestly, the worst part about what happened isn't that I'm about to lose my apartment. It's that I'm still not sure I was wrong. If I don't tell this story, you'll never understand why I can't just apologize and get him back. But once you know what I know, you'll see why going back would mean admitting something about myself that I'm not ready to face. This isn't just about rent money or my pride. It's about this knowing fear I've had since I was 12 years old, watching my mom work 3 jobs while my dad's business ideas drained her savings account. It's about the promise I made to myself that I would never, ever be that woman. I'm going to tell you everything, including what I said to Marcus's mother at that dinner. The thing that made her cry. The thing that made his sister call me a narcissistic bitch on Facebook where all our mutual friends could see it. And the part that makes me look worst, I'm saving that for the end because you need to understand how good things were at the beginning first. You need to see why I thought I had the right to ask for more. Marcus and I met at a coffee shop, which I know sounds basic, but it wasn't one of those cute, we reached for the same latte moments. I was crying in the corner booth because I just found out my roommate was moving out, and he came over with napkins and this concerned look that made him seem older than 27. He had kind eyes, that's what I remember thinking. Kind eyes and nice hands and a vintage band t-shirt that was worn soft from 100 washes. Bad day? He asked, and I did that thing where you laugh while tears are still running down your face. Bad year, I said. Bad life maybe. He bought me a coffee I didn't ask for and sat down without invitation, and normally that would annoy me, but something about Marcus felt safe. We talked for 3 hours. He told me he was a freelance graphic designer working from home, building up his client base. I told him I worked in marketing for a mid-sized tech company, which was true, though I didn't mention I was barely making $52,000 a year in a city where that's basically poverty wages. I love what I do, he said, and his whole face changed when he talked about design. It's not about the money, you know, it's about creating something that matters. I should have heard the warning bells right there. I should have heard the exact same words my father used to say when we were eating ramen for the 4th night in a row because his art didn't pay the bills. But Marcus's eyes were so kind, and I was so tired of dadding finance bros who talked about themselves for 90 minutes straight, and when he asked for my number I gave it to him. The first 3 months were perfect. That's what makes this whole thing so complicated. Marcus was attentive and thoughtful and he actually listened when I talked. He remembered that I liked tulips better than roses, that I was afraid of birds because of a childhood incident at a petting zoo, that my coffee order changed based on my mood. He'd send me designs he was working on and ask my opinion. He'd leave little notes in my bag when he knew I had a hard day coming up at work. The sex was incredible. I'm just going to say it because it matters to the story. Marcus paid attention. He cared about what I wanted. He made me feel beautiful in a way that wasn't just about my body but about all of me, like he was studying me the way he studied his design projects, learning all my details. You're amazing, he'd whisper afterward, and the way he looked at me made me believe it. We started staying over at each other's places. His apartment was smaller than mine, a studio in a neighborhood that was up and coming, which is code for you'll probably get your catalytic converter stolen. But he decorated it carefully, all these vintage finds and plants everywhere, string lights that made everything feel warm and intimate. Just when I thought things couldn't get better, he said he loved me. We were making breakfast in my kitchen and he just said it casual as anything while flipping pancakes. I love you, Simone. My heart did this stupid flutter thing and I said it back immediately and I meant it. I really did. That's important for you to understand. What happened later doesn't erase the fact that I loved him. We decided to move in together after 6 months. My lease was up, his lease was month to month, and we found this beautiful 1-bedroom in a better neighborhood. $1,700 a month, which we'd split. With my salary, $850 was manageable, even if it meant I couldn't save as much as I wanted. This is going to be perfect, Marcus said, holding me in the empty apartment before we moved our stuff in. Our first real place together. I ignored the tiny voice in my head asking about his financial situation. I ignored the fact that I hadn't actually seen proof of his income, that he was vague about how much he made, that he sometimes made comments about money being tight. He always paid his half of dates, always contributed, so what did it matter? We moved in during September. By October, I started noticing things. Marcus worked from home, which meant he was always there when I got back from the office. Usually in the same sweatpants I'd left him in that morning. His laptop open, design programs running, but also A lot of YouTube videos, a lot of research that looks suspiciously like watching other people play video games. How was work? I'd ask. Good, yeah, still working on that logo for the organic juice company. Didn't you start that 2 weeks ago? Creative process can't be rushed, babe. The first time rent was due, Marcus asked if he could pay me 3 days late. Client hadn't paid him yet, money was in transit, totally normal business stuff. Of course, I said, because I was understanding. I was a cool girlfriend. I got that freelancing meant irregular income. 3 days turned into a week. The week turned into him handing me $600 and promising the rest was coming. I've got a new client coming on board, he said. Big project. This is just a weird month. I paid the full rent and told myself it was fine. Couples help each other, that's what you do when you love someone. November rent, the same thing happened, except this time he could only give me $400 up front. Marcus, we need to talk about this. I know, I'm sorry. These clients are killing me with the payment timelines. But I've got a call with a potential new client next week. Could be a retainer situation, super steady income. How much are you actually making? I asked, and he got defensive. Why does it matter? I'm paying my share. But you're not, though. You're paying part of your share late and I'm covering the difference. Temporarily covering the difference. I always pay you back. Except he didn't, not really. He gave me money in dribs and drabs and I lost track of whether it was adding up to his full half or not. My savings account that I'd been carefully building started shrinking. Everyone online thought we were fine. Marcus posted cute pictures of us, called me his queen, wrote these long captions about how lucky he was. My friends would comment with heart emojis. His friends would make jokes about when we were getting married. And privately I was lying awake at night doing mental math, trying to figure out how long I could sustain this before I was completely broke. December was the breaking point, though I didn't know it yet. The holidays meant I had extra expenses. Gifts for my family, office secret Santa, a new dress for my company party. Marcus wanted to get a tree, wanted to decorate, wanted to host his friends for a holiday party. We can't afford that, I said. What are you talking about? We both work, we're doing fine. Marcus, I need you to be honest with me. How much money are you actually bringing in each month? He got quiet. That's when I knew it was bad. It varies, he said finally. Give me an average. Why are you being like this? Are you making everything about money? Because rent is about money, food is about money, the heat we're using right now is about money. I thought you were different, he said, and there was this hurt in his voice that made me feel like the bad guy. I thought you cared about more than just dollar signs. I do care about more than that, but I also care about not being evicted. We fought for 2 hours. Finally, he admitted that he was averaging maybe $1,500 a month. On a good month, $2,000. He'd been using his savings to cover his expenses when he first moved in with me, but those savings were gone now. I felt sick. $1,500 a month. That was barely anything in our city. That meant I was essentially subsidizing his lifestyle while he made art about organic juice companies and pretended to have a real career. You should have told me, I said. Would you have moved in with me if I had? The honest answer was no, and we both knew it. You need to get more clients, I said. You need to actually hustle. You're on your laptop all day anyway. Send more pitches, follow up more, treat this like a real business. I am treating it like a real business. Then why isn't it making real money? He looked at me like I'd slapped him and I felt terrible, but I also felt this righteous anger building. How dare he put me in this position? How dare he let me think we were equal partners when really I was his meal ticket? Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, we had to go to his family's Christmas dinner. His parents lived 2 hours away in the suburbs in this nice house with a paid-off mortgage and a 2-car garage. His dad was a retired electrician. His mom was a school librarian. His sister taught middle school. They were all perfectly nice, normal people who made decent, reliable money. Sitting at their dinner table, watching his mom serve ham she'd clearly spent all day preparing, I felt this weird resentment building. Marcus was their golden boy, their creative son. They were so proud of him for following his dreams and doing what he loved. How's the design business, Marcus? His dad asked. Really good, got some exciting projects in the pipeline. I nearly choked on my wine. Exciting projects. He'd sent out 3 pitches in the last month and gotten no responses. And Simone, how's corporate life treating you? His mom asked with this sympathetic smile, like I was the one who needed pity for having a stable job with benefits and a 401k. It's great, I said. I actually just got promoted, managing a whole campaign now. That's wonderful, she said, but there was something in her tone. Something that suggested she thought it was sad that I was so focused on climbing some soulless corporate ladder while her son was out there creating art. His sister Rachel was more direct. Must be nice having that steady paycheck. Marcus always said he couldn't handle the 9-to-5 grind, too much of a free spirit. Yeah, I said, must be nice. Everyone thought I was fine. I smiled through dinner. I helped clean up. I accepted a container of leftovers, and privately driving home I was seething. Your family thinks I'm boring, I said. What? No, they don't. Your sister literally called me a corporate drone. She said you had a steady paycheck. That's not the same thing. They look down on me because I have a real job. It's not a competition, Simone. Isn't it though? Because from where I'm sitting, I'm funding both our lives while you play artist and everyone treats you like you're the enlightened one. We fought the whole drive home. We fought in the apartment. We finally went to bed angry, sleeping on opposite sides of the mattress, both pretending to be asleep. I thought I was fixing things when I started the conversation the next morning. I really did. I'd been reading articles about how to talk to your partner about money. I'd made notes. I was calm and rational. Marcus, we need a plan, I said over coffee. I need to know that this situation is temporary. I need to know you're working toward making more money. I am working toward it. How specifically, what are you doing differently? I'm working on my portfolio. I'm networking online. These things take time. Okay, but what if you got a part-time job in the meantime? Something stable to cover your expenses while you build the design business. He looked at me like I'd suggested he kill puppies. A part-time job doing what? I don't know, retail, coffee shop, something with guaranteed hours and a paycheck. I don't have time for that. I need to focus on design if I'm going to grow the business. You're on your laptop 8 hours a day and making $1,500 a month. I don't think the time investment is the issue here. That's when he got quiet in that dangerous way. What are you really saying, Simone? And I should have stopped. I should have taken a breath, but I've been holding this in for months and it just came out. I'm saying that maybe you're not cut out for freelancing. I'm saying that maybe you need to get a real job like the rest of us and do design on the side until you're actually good enough to make it full time. A real job. You know what I mean? No, say it. You don't think what I do is real work. I think what you do is a hobby that doesn't pay the bills. He stood up. I'm going for a walk. Marcus, come on, don't do this. But he was already grabbing his coat and I was left alone with my coffee and this sick feeling in my stomach. The thing is, I wasn't wrong. That's what nobody wants to acknowledge. I wasn't wrong that he needed to make more money. I wasn't wrong that I couldn't keep subsidizing his lifestyle. But the way I said it, the contempt that had leaked into my voice when I called his career a hobby, that was wrong. I knew it even then. He came back 3 hours later and we didn't talk about it. We just moved around each other carefully like roommates instead of lovers. January rent was due and Marcus didn't have his half, not even close. He had $250. That's it? I asked. It was a slow month, holidays, everyone's budget is tight. My budget is tight because I'm paying for 2 people. I'll make it up to you. How, Marcus, how exactly? We were both yelling now, really yelling, the kind of fight where your neighbors definitely hear everything. Maybe if you were supportive instead of constantly breathing down my neck about money, I could actually focus and land bigger clients. Maybe if you actually worked as hard as you claim to work, you'd have bigger clients. You know what your problem is? You measure everything in dollars. You can't see value in anything that doesn't come with a paycheck. And you can't see reality beyond your artistic delusions. We stood there breathing hard, glaring at each other, and I felt our relationship cracking right down the middle. I think we need some space, he said. Fine, take all the space you need, but rent is still due on the 1st. He packed a bag and went to stay at his friend Devin's place. I was relieved, honestly. I couldn't look at him without feeling angry. But I was also terrified because I'd just done the math. I couldn't afford this apartment alone, not even close. My paycheck covered rent and utilities with maybe $300 left for food and everything else, and that was before student loan payments. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, my mom called. How are you, honey? Fine, I lied. You don't sound fine. What's going on? And I broke. I told her everything. The money issues, the fighting, Marcus staying at his friend's place. There was this long silence, and then she said, Simone, you can't fix a man who doesn't want it be fixed. I'm not trying to fix him. I'm just trying to get him to be responsible. I tried that for 15 years with your father. You know what I learned? Some people will choose their dreams over your stability every single time, and they'll make you feel like a villain for wanting to pay the electric bill. Marcus isn't dad. Isn't he though? That conversation haunted me. I thought about my dad and his business ideas. The time he invested their mortgage payment in his friend's restaurant that went under in 6 months. The time he quit his job at the post office to sell life insurance and made $13 in commissions over 4 months. The way my mom worked herself to exhaustion covering his failures while he talked about thinking bigger and taking risks. I promised myself I wouldn't be her. And here I was working myself ragged to cover a man who thought he was too good for regular employment. Marcus came back after 4 days. He'd been doing some thinking, he said. He understood my concerns. He was going to really commit to growing the business. Show me, I said. I need to see action, not promises. For a week he actually did seem different. He was up early sending pitches, following up with old contacts. But then the week ended and he slipped back into the same patterns. YouTube videos, long coffee breaks, design work that seemed to take forever and pay nothing. February 1st arrived. He had $400 for me. Marcus, this is less than half. I know, I'm sorry, I just need a little more time. Time for what? What's going to magically change? I'm working on something big, a potential client who could be a game changer. You said that last month and the month before. This is different. But it wasn't different. It was never different. I realized standing there looking at $400 that was supposed to be $850 that I was done. I can't do this anymore, I said. What does that mean? It means exactly what it sounds like. I can't keep funding your life while you pretend to have a career. Simone, please just give me a little more time. I've given you time, I've given you money, I've given you chance after chance. What I haven't seen is any real change. So what, you're just giving up on us? No, Marcus. You gave up on us when you decided your comfort was more important than our partnership. He tried to argue, but I was done arguing. I was exhausted. I told him he needed to find somewhere else to live, that I'd give him until the end of the month, but after that, he had to be gone. Everyone thought I was being harsh. His friends started texting me, telling me I was materialistic, that I was giving up on someone I claimed to love over money. His sister posted something on Facebook about how women these days only care about bank accounts, not character. My own friends were split. Some got it. Some thought I should be more patient. But here's the thing nobody knew yet, the thing I haven't told you. 2 weeks before I told Marcus he needed to leave, I'd gone into his laptop to print something for work. My printer was broken and he was in the shower, and he'd always said I could use his computer for whatever. I found his email open. And I found an entire folder of job listings he'd saved over the past 6 months. Good jobs, design positions at actual companies with salaries and benefits. Positions he was qualified for. Some of them he'd even started applications for, got halfway through, and then abandoned. He'd had opportunities, real opportunities, and he'd deliberately not pursued them. There was also an email chain with Devin where Marcus literally said, "Why would I bust my ass at some corporate job when Simone's income covers most of our expenses? I've got it pretty good right now. I can focus on the creative work I actually care about." That's what I found. Proof that this wasn't about him struggling despite his best efforts. This was about him choosing to coast on my dime while pursuing his hobbies. I didn't confront him immediately because I was so shocked I couldn't process it. I felt sick. I felt used. I felt stupid for defending him to my mom, for making excuses to my friends, for believing that he was really trying when the whole time he was consciously taking advantage of me. And when I finally did tell him he needed to leave, I thought about showing him that I knew about the emails. I thought about laying out all the evidence of his manipulation. But I didn't. Because part of me, the part I'm most ashamed of, wanted to keep that card in my pocket. Wanted to maintain some moral high ground by making it about money and responsibility instead of about him actively using me. So when people called me shallow, when they said I was giving up on love for material reasons, I let them. Because the truth, that Marcus had consciously chosen to financially exploit me, was somehow more embarrassing than being called a gold digger. Marcus moved out on February 28th. He took his stuff over 2 trips and we barely spoke during the process. The last thing he said to me was, "I hope you find someone who makes enough money to meet your standards." "I hope you find someone who's okay being used," I said back. His face went red and for a second I thought he was going to ask what I meant. But he didn't, he just left. Now it's March 15th and rent is due again in 2 weeks and I have to face facts. I can't afford this place alone. I've been looking for roommates on Craigslist, meeting strangers in coffee shops, trying to figure out if they're going to be murderers or just normal people who pay their rent on time. I've applied for credit cards to give myself a buffer. I've picked up freelance work in the evenings, writing marketing copy for small businesses, making an extra $600 a month while my eyes blur from screen time. My friends keep asking if I've heard from Marcus. His sister sent me a long message telling me that he's devastated, and that I destroyed his confidence, and that he's thinking about giving up design entirely because I made him feel worthless. And you know what the worst part is? Part of me feels guilty. Part of me wonders if I was too harsh, if I should have been more supportive, if my own trauma about my dad made me overreact to normal relationship struggles. But then I think about those emails, about him consciously deciding to use me. And I think about my mom working 3 jobs while my dad pursued his dreams, and I think about the promise I made to myself. I've started dating again, which feels weird and too soon, but also necessary. I need to know that I'm not broken, that wanting a partner who can actually partner isn't some terrible character flaw. I went out with a guy named Chris last week. He's an accountant. Stable job, owns his condo, has a retirement plan. We had a nice dinner, decent conversation, polite kiss at the end of the night. I felt absolutely nothing. The sex with Marcus was incredible, remember? He paid attention. He cared. Chris seems like the kind of guy who would need detailed instructions and positive reinforcement for basic tasks. But Chris won't leave me scrambling to pay rent. Chris won't make me feel like a villain for wanting financial stability. Chris is exactly the kind of man I said I wanted. So why do I feel empty? I was scrolling through Instagram last night and I saw that Marcus has a new design up. It's beautiful, honestly. This whole series about transformation and butterflies and breaking free from cages. The caption says something about how sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself. 300 likes. Comments from all his friends supporting him, telling him he's talented, that he's going to make it, that anyone who doesn't see his worth isn't worth his time. And I'm alone in an apartment I can't afford, going on dates with men I don't like, wondering if I made the biggest mistake of my life. But here's the thing I keep coming back to: even if I wanted to apologize, even if I begged Marcus to come back, what would change? Would he suddenly become ambitious? Would he suddenly prioritize our partnership over his comfort? Or will we just slide back into the same patterns, with me working myself to death while he makes art and calls me shallow for wanting him to contribute? My mom called yesterday. She asked if I'd heard the news about Dad. What news? His business finally took off. That consulting thing he was doing, he landed a major client. He's making 6 figures now. I felt the floor drop out from under me. After how many years? I asked. 23 years since he quit the post office. And how much money did you spend keeping him afloat during those 23 years? She got quiet. That's not the point. That's exactly the point, Mom. He gambled with your money, your security, your future for 23 years. And yeah, maybe it finally paid off. But what if it hadn't? What if you'd sacrificed everything and he'd failed anyway? But he didn't fail. You're still working, aren't you? At 62 years old, you're still working because he drained your retirement savings chasing dreams? Simone, sometimes love means sacrifice. And sometimes sacrifice just means being someone's doormat while they do whatever they want. We haven't talked since that conversation. I think I hurt her feelings. I think she needs to believe that all those years of struggle were worth it, that Dad's recent success justifies everything she went through. I think she needs me to believe it too, because if I don't, it means she wasted 23 years of her life on a man who used her. What if I'm wrong? That's the question that keeps me up at night. What if Marcus is going to be like my dad, struggling for years and then finally making it big? What if I gave up right before the breakthrough? What if I'm going to see him in 5 years, successful and happy and married to some supportive woman who believed in him when I didn't, and I'll realize I threw away my chance at real love because I was too damaged and too scared? But then I remember the emails. I remember him consciously choosing to coast. And I think that's different. My dad was delusional, but he was trying. Marcus wasn't trying. Marcus had opportunities and deliberately didn't take them because he had a girlfriend who would cover his expenses. I found a roommate. Her name is Bethany. She's 24, works in tech, seems normal enough. She's moving in next week and I'll be able to breathe financially again. The apartment won't feel like ours anymore. It'll feel like a place I share with a stranger, but I won't be drowning. Chris texted me asking about a second date. I said yes because why not? Maybe attraction grows. Maybe stability becomes sexy when you've been through chaos. Maybe I can learn to want what's good for me instead of what feels good. Marcus hasn't texted at all, which shouldn't hurt but does. I keep checking my phone like an idiot, hoping for what? An apology. An admission that I was right, proof that he misses me. His friend Devin posted something last week about how some people are intimidated by artists and real recognize real, and other pseudo-profound nonsense that was clearly about me. I almost commented. I almost said, real recognize real. Marcus recognized a free ride and took it. But I didn't because I'm trying to be mature about this, trying to take the high road. The high road is lonely as hell, by the way. I went to therapy for the first time last Tuesday. My insurance covers it, which is nice. The therapist's name is Dr. Chen, and she lets me talk for 45 minutes without judgment, which is more than I can say for anyone else in my life right now. Do you think you made the right choice? She asked me. I don't know, is there a right choice when both options feel terrible? Tell me what you mean by that. I mean, staying with Marcus meant sacrificing my financial stability and probably my self-respect. But leaving him means I'm alone and everyone thinks I'm shallow and I'm starting to wonder if they're right. Do you think you're shallow? I think I'm practical. But maybe practical is just another word for shallow when it comes to relationships. Maybe real love is supposed to transcend money stuff. Is that what you believe? I don't know what I believe anymore. She didn't give me answers, which was frustrating but also probably healthy. She just asked more questions, made me sit with my contradictions, my guilt, my anger. I'm still sitting with all of it. You're probably expecting me to have clarity by now, to have learned some lesson that ties everything together with a bow. But I don't. I'm still confused. I still miss Marcus sometimes, usually late at night when the apartment feels too quiet. I still check his Instagram and feel this weird mix of pride and resentment when I see his designs getting better. I still go on dates with stable, boring men and feel nothing. I still lie awake wondering if I'm going to end up alone because I couldn't get past my childhood trauma about money. But I also know I can't go back. Even if Marcus called right now and apologized and promised to change, I couldn't trust it. That's what the emails destroyed, my ability to believe his struggle was innocent. Now I know he's capable of conscious manipulation, of seeing me as a resource instead of a partner, and I can't unknow that. Maybe that makes me unforgiving. Maybe I should be able to move past it to believe people can change. But I keep thinking about my mom, giving my dad chance after chance, and how she's 62 and still working and trying to convince herself it was all worth it. I don't want to be 62 looking back on my life trying to rewrite history so my sacrifices make sense. So yeah, I told Marcus that real men make more money. I said it in anger, and it was reductive and unfair, and it gave him and everyone else a reason to paint me as the villain. But underneath that terrible phrasing was a real truth. I needed a partner who would actually partner with me, not someone who would let me carry the weight while he pursued his passions on my dime. The rent is due in 5 days. Bethany has already Venmoed me her half. For the first time in months, I'm not panicking about making the payment. I'm not checking my bank account 17 times a day, doing mental math, trying to figure out which bill I can pay late. I should feel relieved. Mostly I just feel sad. Last night I had a dream about Marcus. We were in the apartment before everything went bad and he was showing me a design he'd just finished. His whole face was lit up with pride and excitement, and I was looking at him with this uncomplicated love, no resentment, no fear, just pure affection. I woke up with tears on my face. Here's what I've realized: people want this story to be simple. They want me to be either completely right or completely wrong. They want Marcus to be either a victim of my materialism or a user who deserves no sympathy. But it's not that simple. It's never that simple. I was right that I couldn't sustain our relationship the way it was. I was right that I deserved a partner who contributed equally. I was right to protect myself from financial ruin, but I was also harsh. I was also unkind. I also let my own damage poison something that might have been fixable with better communication, clearer boundaries, more patience. And Marcus was struggling with a real career that's genuinely hard to break into. He was also taking advantage of my income in a way that was conscious and deliberate. He was genuinely hurt by my words. He also played the victim instead of taking responsibility. We were both right. We were both wrong. We both hurt each other. And now we're both alone, and I'm not sure either of us is better off for it. The worst part, the part I promised I'd tell you, isn't about the money or the apartment or even Marcus himself. It's that I looked at the man I loved and I saw my father. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. Every time he talked about his dreams, I heard my dad talking about his next big idea. Every time he asked for patience, I saw my mom's face getting older and more tired. Every time he promised things would get better, I felt 12 years old again, watching my mother cry in the kitchen because the electricity was getting shut off. That's what I can't forgive myself for. Not for leaving Marcus, but for never really seeing Marcus. For seeing my father instead. For making him pay for someone else's sins. Maybe he was using me. Probably he was, based on those emails. But maybe he was also just struggling and scared and hoping I'd love him enough to be patient while he figured it out. And maybe I would have been patient if I wasn't so terrified of becoming my mother. Dr. Chen asked me in our last session, if you could go back and change one thing, what would it be? I thought about it for a long time. I wouldn't have looked at his emails, I finally said. Because then I could have just ended it about the money and felt righteous. I wouldn't have to know that I was also ending it because I was scared. Scared of what? Scared that love always looks like sacrifice. Scared that if I loved him enough to stay, I'd wake up in 30 years and realize I'd sacrificed everything for someone who never really saw me as an equal partner. Scared that my mom was right, that love means giving up your own stability and hopes and just trusting it'll work out. And do you believe that love means sacrifice? I believe my mom believes it, and I believe it destroyed her life even if she won't admit it, and I believe I'd rather be alone than destroyed. So here I am. Alone, not destroyed, financially stable, emotionally empty, going through the motions. Chris and I have a third date planned. He wants to take me to some new restaurant that got written up in a food magazine. He's already made reservations. He's punctual and prepared and will definitely have enough money to split the check without me having to calculate whether his card will decline. I'm going to go. I'm going to smile. I'm going to try to feel something. And when I get home to my apartment that I share with a stranger, I'm going to look at my bank account and feel relieved that the numbers work. I'm going to tell myself I made the right choice. I'm going to believe that stability beats passion, that practicality beats chemistry, that being alone beats being used. Some days I even believe it. The truth is, I don't know if I did the right thing. I don't know if anyone can ever really know if they did the right thing when it comes to love and money and all the messy places those things intersect. I just know I couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't be the woman who pays for everything. Couldn't be my mother. Couldn't sacrifice myself for someone who might never meet me halfway. And if that makes me shallow, if that makes me materialistic, if that makes me the villain of this story, fine. I'll be the villain. At least I'll be a villain who can pay her rent. But late at night when I can't sleep, I still wonder what Marcus is doing. If he's eating enough, if he's making it work. If he found someone more patient, more understanding, less damaged than me. I wonder if she's happy, this hypothetical woman. If she feels valued and loved and secure. Or if she's lying in bed next to him, listening to him breathe, doing mental math in her head, trying to figure out how long she can keep this up before she breaks. I wonder if she's already looked at his laptop, if she's found the emails, if she knows what I knew. And I wonder if she'll be brave enough to leave or if she'll be like my mom and stay for 23 years and call it love.